How to level up your socialization as someone who lives in the country. So you'll notice if you live in the country that your socialization skills are probably not as good as they could be, or as good as other people who live in the country, people in the city. There is an interesting thing that happens that I've actually noticed. An actually important distinction I noticed was that people who live in the city are way more social than people who live in the country. And this becomes obvious once you realize that people in the city, they're around more people most of the time. There are more social interactions, so they can practice and level up that skill as much. But if you live out in the country, a problem you're actually going to face is that you don't have as many people to talk to or to practice being social. All of this depends on where you live. Maybe there's a small community, maybe you can go to the store, sure. But the thing is, the way that your life is not entirely reliant on being around other humans. And human beings, as we know, are social creatures. They're meant to socialize and interact with other people. But socialization is much like a muscle. And so it'd be sort of like if you were a guy who lived in a sort of soft, cushy life, and there was no reason for you to work out, kind of like a lot of people do in modern day, versus a hunter way back in ancient times in BC, who had to get up and hunt and run every day and trade for food, like a Spartan. His life is that of being a warrior, a soldier. And if you remove yourself from that situation, then you stop working out, your muscles obviously get smaller, and you're not going to be doing the things that get you in shape. So it's like a muscle that you have to train every day, like your body. And so socialization in the same way, when you are out in the country, that's the equivalent of a Spartan leaving war and just being at home and sort of relaxing, enjoying the bread and circuses. Whereas actually people who live in the cities, while often I actually think that it's kind of bad to be in the city, there's a lot of degeneracy, they actually are at a bit of an advantage because they are around more people and they're around more social opportunities for you to practice. Now, socialization is a skill that you actually level up by talking to the people at the grocery store, the guy at the train, the cashier at McDonald's. You're leveling up your skill by talking to these people. And also, it's sort of almost like a war zone. So, like, if socialization is like a battlefield, it's like a skill. Like, a socialization, when you have a conversation with someone, it's like a combat, like, battle. Then a city, you can imagine, is rife with all of this contention and talking. Whether it's good or bad, people talk to you on the bus. That's why, me as a country guy, I find the city so interesting. And I almost want to move there for, like, a bit of time. Even though I do enjoy the country. I do want to move to the city, but the country actually has peace and quiet. And that's, while it's good, it can sort of be nerfing you. And this is what we need to address today. So how to level up your socialization? Well, like I said, socialization is a skill that can be trained like any other skill. It's like a muscle. The way that you train it is by making it stronger, by continuous repetition and doing it more and more. The more you practice something, the better you're going to get at it. Your first is always your worst. So you can imagine, just expect when you go talk to people in this little task I'm going to give you, it's always going to start off bad at first. But I actually heard there's a really interesting quote. Someone told me there's this thing as a failed social interaction. Because the thing is, if you talk to someone and it goes badly, it's still a social interaction nonetheless. In any case, it is a skill that you need to level up. And there's a few ways we can go about this. When you go to a party, and I imagine you're doing this to just maybe you want to talk to a girl, maybe you want to just be more social in general. It doesn't matter what it is, but you go about it the same way. When you go to a party or a big event, the best way to get into the social mood, because it's not really something that you can try to keep it, like, you turn it on and off, but it has to be something that you kind of try to cultivate and keep at a certain level, so you don't, like, turn it on and off. So what you want to do before you go talk to a girl or talk to the person that you really want to talk to is start social warm-up. And that's what I do whenever I go to a party or a big event. I start by talking to other people before I talk to the person I really want to talk to. So again, like the muscle, it's like warm-up, social warm-up. You go and talk to the old guy at the door. You talk to the ticket booth master. You talk to whoever you can beforehand. You just make small, light conversations, easy things like that. We want to start life. You don't start benching 225. You start off really light conversation, small talk. That's what it is. That's what it's for. Small talk is just, we're brimming the surface. We're like, it's a bit of a tease. But like, it's not the whole meal. We're looking for more. There's actually a chart that I can use. So not just for the party. So we're going to take that concept of social warm-up and apply it to life. So we're going to train socialization as a skill. But the way we're going to do that is by using a chart of different types of people. So starting off at end 1, or let's say 1 to 10. We'll start off at 0. So first people we're going to talk to are your family members. Your family members, you notice that you have no reservations around them because you live with them. You don't have to hold anything back. You notice when you're talking to a sibling or a parent, especially your parent, then, unless there's some sort of weird relationship there, you notice when you're talking to like a sibling, then you're not really nervous because you don't really care how they perceive you because you have to live together. But the reason you're nervous with social interactions because they're strangers, they could just up and leave, and like you're afraid you're gonna talk to that girl, she's just gonna reject you. Your sibling has to stay with you. So I recommend number one is talking to family members. Number two, so we're moving up to levels. So this is all like I'd say level 1, 2, and 3. Also in level 1, I would say are grandparents or older people. Older people are fantastic for socialization. So if I had to like put them in levels, I would say there's like regular grandparents who they have no negative outlook on you, unless there's some sort of weird expectation thing there. But most of the time, grandparents are generally loving and caring, just like mine are. And if I were to practice, like I have been for a few weeks now, talk to my grandparents, just talk to them about anything, get used to talking and socializing if you're someone who's much more isolated. And this can be done over the phone, but ideally you want to do it in person. So talk to family members, particularly old ones. Now, we're going to transition from like family members. I would say siblings and old people are in the same camp because you want to talk to people you have no reservations about, like your appearance, that you're not nervous around. If your parents, if you have a weird relationship with your parents, don't talk to them. Talk to people who you do not that you can feel authentic around, that you do not have to hide any part of your personality. You don't have to prove anything to them, but you're not putting on a show. Then I would move on to strangers. So we're getting into the weird territory of strangers. And I would say, again, we're sticking with old people. So we're going to go from grandparents to old people. And the reason why old people are fantastic to talk to, this is why old people are kind of like a prize of society. Even though I get on them a lot for being stuck in their ways, old people are fantastic to talk to because they don't have that social pressure. You'll notice when you talk to an old person, even if it's a stranger, then they're not going to be judging you, or you don't really have to feel like I have to be cool, or I have to like look cool, or like I'm Sigma, I have to look smacks to talk to old people, because they don't really care. And also, they've been around the block. So old people will actually do a lot of the hard work and the carrying of the social interaction for you. So you can talk to anyone at the supermarket, if you at the library, talk to old people like that. Next, we're going to move up to social workers. And by social workers, I mean like staff and faculty at any place that you go to. So a fantastic example is that last week that I went to go get my library card. And I was talking to the staff there, and I'm not doing too much. You don't want to do too much. What I was doing was I was just making light conversation, talking about things, going back and forth. And it's also getting me, again, in the mood, like the socialization mood, so that I can talk to maybe another random stranger at the library. So we're going to talk to staff, workers. If you are someone who is nervous to talk to women or just like ladies in general, then I would recommend talking to guy staff faculty because they're pretty easy to make a joke with. If you go into Home Depot is a pretty good place to go to and talk about like, hey, like, and this is a sort of side point, but shared common interest is a fantastic thing. So the library, that was pretty good for me because I've been there quite a few times. But if I were to go to Home Depot, I was actually pretty good with talking to the guys there. If you ask, hey, you need help with this wood thing? Or, again, just asking them to explain something to you. If you're nervous to make small talk, I would start with just talking about a shared interest, which is their work at Home Depot. So ask what's the best type of wood to build like some steps on your porch. Or if you are feeling a bit risky, then start some small talk about, hey, I'm doing a project ABCD. Do you do a project like this? And sort of talk about like how they got the job, or just make a light talk. But like I said, male staff workers, if you're nervous to talk to the female ones. But the female ones are pretty good to talk to as well. Next is going to be moms. So now we're like almost there. We're working our way up. Now moms are great, or like mother elderly women. And like don't be a weirdo. Like this is not like pickup. Like you're talking to mothers, like if they're in the store, about soft skills. This is especially if you're a guy. So soft skills, basically, you want to approach, like, this is women in general, but mothers or like moms, people who look like they have a family or have kids. Ask them about soft skills. So ask them about like cooking, sewing, or, oh, I did this recipe. Because I was in Walmart actually one time, and an older lady came up to me. Like, I didn't even start the social interaction, so I don't really get the credit. But she was talking to me about what is the best, like, fudge recipe. She was telling me about a fudge recipe you could make, because I was getting chocolate chips in that aisle, because I was getting chocolate chips, sugar-free chocolate chips for my granola cereal. By the way, amazing. And she was telling me about a fudge recipe that she did. The thing is, obviously, it doesn't matter if I'm going to make the fudge recipe or whatever, but it's just for the interaction. That was a really good one, because that was a soft skill she was talking about. So we're not talking about pickup, we're not talking about game or anything. We're talking about just talking to older women who look like they have kids, or they've been around the block, that have some sort of knowledge about a soft skill that you don't really know about, and you can ask them to sort of tell you, like, hey, what's some advice on this? Ask them for advice on the soft skill, and just make it apparent that you're not a threat. Just make it very known that, like, hey, there's, this thing. Or, again, this is hard for like strangers. Don't go up to someone at Walmart and like just be a weirdo. But make it apparent that it's like a common interest thing. So if you're both in the cooking aisle and you ask about cooking or like a recipe, that's a good one. And the thing is, the older they are, they're actually more open they are going to be. So we talked about family members, old people, male staff people, then I guess female staff, then talk about moms. And now we're getting to the territory of like you've talked to other people, like you start conversations. Now we want to get to the point where we are actually starting conversations with just other strangers and peers of our age. So this is the part where you are building up your sociability, and you're talking to more people. You're just becoming more adept at it, be able to talk to more people. Now, I would say the key with all this is that you do not want to be doing too much. The goal is to just have a good social interaction, and then walk away from it decently satisfied. You didn't make the other person feel comfortable. You felt completely comfortable as well. And I would say this is a win-win for both people. If you live in the country, it is a skill. Like you are letting your sword go down. You need to socialize and take extra care if you are someone who lives in the country to make sure you're talking to someone the other day. Make sure you're talking to someone every single day because days can go by when you don't talk to anybody. So I would say level up the skill. Now this has been another lesson for Project 30. I would recommend that you subscribe so you can stay a part of the Project 30 Brotherhood. We are a group of young men who are going to become rich and retire before the age of 30 and become complete. This is where we discuss all things about fitness, money, socialization, talking to women, just everything. Becoming a complete man, reading books, becoming well-read, and just be good at everything. So, if that sounds interesting to you, you want to subscribe. Now, an idea I had was making a sort of community, like a school community, where we all get together and talk about the best sort of ideas and ways for young people under the age of 30, like in their 20s, to come up and get, rich, successful, and become well put together. So, if that sounds like something interesting to you, then let me know in the comments, and I will actually read every single one of them. And if enough people want it, then I am going to make a community where we can all come together and discuss these sort of things. Become interesting. So, if this video has helped you, subscribe, and I will see you next time.